Good morning, everyone, to our postgraduate students, particularly our master's and doctoral students, those supervisors who are here. Yesterday, we were fortunate. We had the task team members on artificial intelligence usage in higher education in the room. We might have some of them today in the room to answer your questions. We have others who have experience in supervising or engaging with these tools. And so as a whole team, we will try and respond to your questions. But the focus of today is on how you, as a postgraduate student, can enhance your research activities in the era of artificial intelligence. Now, I would like to start off with this disclaimer that artificial intelligence, it's not your emerging chatbots that we have seen in the last 2 years. Artificial intelligence has been on the market for the past years, number of years. In fact, when you go into the literature, they talk about artificial intelligence dating back to the 1950s with the arrival of technology and computers as a device of learning. And so it is important that we don't confuse this as an emerging concept or emerging learning opportunity, but it is something that we've been using. Your Microsoft Word has got elements of artificial intelligence. When you type a word wrongly, it will underline it with a red line to indicate that it is wrong. When you right click on that word, it will give you the correct option or various options on how to correct the incorrect spelling. And so that is artificial intelligence. Also, you've been using as a postgraduate student various referencing tools like Mendeley and many others to process your referencing styles and information accurately. That is artificial intelligence. Many of you have used English language tools to ensure that, like tools such as Grammarly, to help you with a clearer presentation of your language, as English is a fourth language, a second language, a third language to many of us. And so these are all artificial intelligence tools that they have been on the market. But as technology evolves, new tools come on the market. We are not saying in the College of Graduate Studies that you need to throw out all the tools that you've been using. We are saying to you, familiarize yourself with the emerging tools on the market so that you can see how can you now enhance your learning and your research activities, your postgraduate studies. Many of our students have been struggling extensively with proposal writing because while we have some command of English, it is not at a level of academic writing. So there's a difference between our everyday communication of language usage versus academic writing. And therefore, we want to introduce you to a number of other tools, emerging tools in the field of technology that could enhance your learning. So in this presentation, we will look at how can you engage with these emerging tools, artificial intelligence tools, and how do you balance your independent writing versus chatbot generated knowledge? How do you merge this knowledge? How do you improve your own human knowledge to enhance your research development? Also, with these tools and the development that we see in these tools, there are a lot of risk that comes with it. It also has a lot of unethical possibilities, and we are looking at how could you then ethically use these emerging tools, artificial emerging tools for your research. And then I do want to ask you, the first sort of 45 minutes, I hope to engage on a theoretical level with these tools to explain to you what is the position of Unisa, how these tools can be used, and so on. So that is more an information session. But it is the second part where I will be demonstrating in a more practical way some of these tools that I find useful. Now, the tools that I will demonstrate are obviously not the only ones. There are tons and tons of tools that are released on a daily basis, and it is important that you reflect on these tools, engage with these tools, and find which ones are user-friendly and enabling for your own studies. We cannot give you a list of tools that you should use. We could recommend some, but you will have to work through the numerous developments of these tools so that you find out which ones are best suited for you. So it is important first to understand, what do we mean with artificial intelligence? So artificial intelligence is technology that enables computers and machines to simulate human intelligence and problem-solving capabilities. So what happens is that these tools explore various literature sources, it explores various information platforms, and it generates knowledge that almost simulate that of human intelligence. And it is important to understand that it is widely used in various applications. In health, it is used in finances. I must let you know that I was listening the other day to the governor of the central bank, and they spoke of SARS, in fact, and they are using artificial intelligence to now sift through your bank accounts and retrieve all the money that you owe them. And so the tax man now use artificial intelligence. Doctors use artificial intelligence to detect early cancer development. They look at artificial intelligence on how to do surgeries. So artificial intelligence, it's used everywhere. Artificial intelligence is even used with therapy. You can now engage with a therapist online to help you navigate some of the mental health issues that you may encounter. So artificial intelligence is nothing new. It's well integrated into our everyday life. And therefore, at Unisa, we are saying we cannot stay behind, because even in teaching and learning, artificial intelligence could be integrated, could be used to enhance and develop and support learning. But what is important, what I have learned over this past few years around artificial intelligence, is that it is not a replacement for human intelligence. It is an augmentation for human intelligence. It supports human intelligence. It helps you to enhance your thinking capacity. It helps you to think more critically. It helps you to support your thinking of a particular phenomenon, right? And so this is important, that we do not think of artificial intelligence as a replacement tool for your capacity to think and engage scholarly and scientifically with your research. So I want to underscore that just like back in the days when we started to use online articles, that we started to use YouTube videos to get a better understanding, these tools are there to support you in your particular scientific project. Unisa, it's quite clear. At the moment, we have a draft policy and we have draft guidelines. Now, these are in development. We have a task team at the University of South Africa on artificial intelligence integration in teaching and learning and research. And they have developed a draft policy and they've developed draft guidelines. These are currently under discussion with the various faculties. They've received feedback from the colleges and they are now revising these policies and draft guidelines so that students and lecturers know how to use and acknowledge artificial intelligence in their scientific projects, be it administrative, be it research, be it teaching and learning. We need to acknowledge and we need to be ethical in how we use this. And so it is clear that when you are engaging with artificial intelligence, that you do not copy and paste, because these tools they have the potential to generate very original like information and very specific information that sounds quite suitable for your study. But it is to develop your thinking around your concepts. It's there to develop your understanding of your research. It is not there copy. And Unisa is very clear that they do not condone plagiarism. The Turnitin tool that we have with the university that detects plagiarism also has an additional element to it where it can detect how much of the work that you have submitted is generated by these artificial intelligence tools. So if you just copy and paste, then it will be detected and you will become guilty of plagiarism. And that's why we are doing this workshop, so that you know how to use it. Unisa holds the position that artificial intelligence is an enabling tool like any other resource tool. However, it should be used in a way to support you and not be unethical in your engagement with these tools. So lecturers now have been trained how to check whether you have used these tools in a copy-paste way or whether you have used it to expand and develop your own research as an augmented tool. So first of all, Unisa is saying we should use artificial intelligence, but we need to be ethical about it. I just want to bring this forth. Once the guidelines have been finalized, it will then be published on all platforms of the university so that students know exactly how to disclose the usage of artificial intelligence in their scientific work, in their research projects. So please keep in mind, I will give you some tips on how to go about it while we are awaiting for these guidelines to be finalized and published. Now, for some of you, when I presented this workshop to the postdocs, postdoctoral fellows, many of them came across this tool for the first time. And they were quite shocked that these tools exist. when I presented it in my school or in my college for the first time, one of my colleagues said, "Right, this thing, it operates like a tokolosh. The speed at which knowledge is created and so specific and so relevant and contextual is amazing." And yesterday, when I presented this to your supervisors, one of the supervisors says, "Prof. Brown, um, the way that it has been summarized, it sounds so perfect. I don't know how to paraphrase this." Okay, and we will talk through this as to how do you make this your own? How do you rework this? How do you paraphrase this work so that it is not a copy and paste? Because the temptation of copy and pasting is real, because the way in which it is generated is so perfect, it's so ideal, it is so scholarly. Now, because many of us do not have these expertise in advanced academic writing, these AI tools can help you to convert your work in the required academic writing styles, in the genre that is required for you to write. Many of you are writing in pure sciences. There's a specific language that comes with it. There are specific phrases that they are requiring from you to use. And as English as a fourth language to many of us, we are not familiar, and sometimes we don't even know how to phrase these structures, these paragraphs, these sentences. And these tools, they have the potential to enable that. Now, students who are doing their PhD, you may have come across these three, I call them the biggest swear words in research methodology. It's the philosophies around methodology. So it is the philosophy around knowledge, the creation of knowledge and understanding of knowledge. And so it is epistemology and ontology and axiology. And since we live in different worlds and we generate and understand knowledge in various ways, and you need to make it relevant to your own context, these are complex terms. And so these artificial intelligence tools have a way to break down this knowledge so that it is simplified and you can understand it before you engage with these complex sections and terminologies of your research, different components of your research. Because the one thing that we can do with research is just to write about it. But do you understand what you write? Sometimes we have the knowledge, but do we apply this knowledge in the right context and in the right manner? And therefore, these tools help you to break down the knowledge so that by the time you apply it, the time that you analyze it and synthesize it, that you have a comprehensive understanding of the knowledge. Now, you can only look at these different levels of knowledge once you have a good understanding. So for some of you who have done Bloom's taxonomy on how knowledge is developed and engage with, you know that we start off with the first level as knowledge is just understanding of it. Then we go into application of this knowledge. We have to go into analysis of this knowledge. We have to go into the synthesis of this knowledge. And so all of these levels of knowledge engagement are required within your thesis development. We want to see that you have an understanding. We want to see that you apply this knowledge in your context, that you analyze it and synthesize it. And sometimes because we at our first level of knowledge engagement, the understanding part, we do not develop that thorough understanding. We do not know how to go to the higher level orders of knowledge engagement. But these tools has got the ability to help you with that. Many of you are still at your proposal level. It's 1 year down the line. Your supervisor has given you you've submitted 3, 4 drafts and given you 3, 4 feedback submissions, and still there are some parts that you don't understand. These tools have the ability to support you to develop frames, to develop understanding, to personalize the content, to contextualize it. Then, for me, English is a fourth language, and sometimes our eases and ahs and wers and was are not at the right places, and so often you'll find that these tools can be used as a language editor. It can improve your grammar. You would notice, for some of you who have received feedback, that your supervisor would say, paragraph 4 and paragraph 5, there's no link to it. It looks like something that just dropped from nowhere. You need to write coherently. So, and some of your supervisors will talk to you about the golden thread that should pull through your proposal or through your thesis. So these tools have that ability to develop that golden thread, that cohesive, coherent writing in your research section or document that you are developing. One of the biggest issues that we have, and now I'm particularly talking to the PhD students, it's relevant to the master students as well. We want to see what is new in your research. Why are you doing this research? I'm in the College of Education. My specialization is in inclusive education. So much has been written about inclusive education, and I supervise a couple of master students, and I keep on asking them, what is new? I recently had a PhD student who did a study on visual impairment and the lived experiences of young people in school. And I said to the student, when I go into your country and I look through the literature, there's so much been written. So why are you doing a study that we have the knowledge that exists? What is new about the study? What is novel? What stands out from your study? And that's something particularly at a PhD level that we want to know. What is the contribution to the body of knowledge? And many of you are struggling to establish that novel idea in your research. And these tools has got that propensity to enable you to pick up some unique, novel, new ideas. You could even ask these tools for suggestions on novel ideas, on enhancing whatever you have in your mind. You would also find that your supervisor will tell you, when I read through your literature review, when I read through your findings and discussions, it is so descriptive. There's nothing critical about it, right? Because at master's and PhD level, we expect from you to have a critical analysis of your data, critical analysis of the existing literature. You should be able to find the gap in the literature. You should be able, to critique what other authors have presented. Don't just tell me that Brown 2023 has said that Malachi 2019 has said that. So what if they have said that? How does it relate to your study? What are the critical issues in this literature review? And these are skills that they don't come natural. And these tools are there to help you develop that critical thought, that critical line of argument in your research. So this is, you can use it for that purpose as well. Often we have a research idea, a research problem, and we haven't thought at a higher level order about it. It helps you to enhance that thinking. It will stimulate your thinking. But it will not happen if you just copy and paste. You must use these ideas to develop your own ideas. Keep in mind this notion of artificial intelligence augmenting human intelligence. It is there to stimulate your thinking. And most important, it saves time. Um, I have worked with a couple of postgraduate students, and most of them have completed the proposals in the first year. And this was because of these tools. They could engage with literature sources in half or even less than half of the time that they would have done that if they would have engaged with it in a manual way. So you can see here that there are multiple benefits of engaging with artificial intelligence tools. And I will show you in the second part how to use these tools to develop these kind of skills. I'm going to skip this slide because this was more for your lecturers on how they can use this in teaching. But what is important is that as you work with these tools will generate knowledge and ideas and paragraphs that's related to your own research. It will give you many ideas on how to stimulate your own thinking. And it is important that you don't become dependent and reliant on these tools because the risk is there that you can become dependent. It is important that there's a balance. Very important. As you engage with these tools, you can ask these tools to succinctly develop your title. Then you need to write down. I use the tool, for example, I've used ChatGPT to rework my title. My title was too long. I saw the other day a title with 26 words, and a title should be between 12 and 14, sometimes 16 words, sometimes 18, but 26 words would be too long. Too many variables. How do you succinctly then condense that title? And some of you will struggle for weeks on end to rework a title. You can literally do this within minutes when you engage with these tools, but you've got to keep a record that you have used it to rework your title. Some of you struggle to, because your supervisor may say to you that I can't see the problem in your problem statement. What is the problem? That is one of the most common challenges that postgraduate students have in formulating a clear and succinct statement of the problem. In some of your colleges, a problem statement should be 200 words. Others require you to put it in one sentence. Others require put it in a paragraph of half a page. And if you look at your statement of the problem, it's spanning over a page and a half. It's too long. And your supervisor might say, this is way too long. Rework the statement of the problem so that it is succinct and clear and to the point. And these tools will help you to formulate that. And I'll show you how. There are various sections. For example, when you work on your philosophical assumptions, many of you have this tendency to tell us what is epistemology, what is ontology, but how do you make it applicable to your own study, to your own context? That's where the challenge lies. When you do a discussion, or when you write your discussion around the approaches, whether you do a mixed methodology, whether you do a quantitative or qualitative approach, why it is important. I always say to my students, what, why, and how. So what is a mixed methodology? Why do you use a mixed methodology, and how do you use it in your study? Those are the three questions that I always ask students when it comes to the different methodology sections. And most of the students are excellent to tell us about the what. They tell us the why, but the how it is applied in their own study becomes problematic because now they don't know how to apply. Remember Bloom's taxonomy? The application level. How do you apply it in your own study, in your own context, in your own research? And that link is often missing. And these tools have they have that potential to support you in that, to make sure that we don't just have the knowledge of what a particular aspect of your methodology is, but how you apply it to your own study. Be prepared to explain how you ensured integrity. So you, as I said, at all times, record on a page, on a document, on a folder, how you have used it. I have used it to formulate my statement of the problem. I've used it to link it to the methodology sections, to my own study, to apply it to my own study, and so on. So keep a thorough record of how you have used it. The reason why we don't want you to do a copy and paste, because when you engage with these tools, it will give you a general understanding of a particular context, but your study has got very specific research questions. It has very specific research objectives, and therefore you can't just copy and paste, because the knowledge that was generated through these chatbots could be delinked or could be disconnected from the specific objective of the study. However, the ideas that were generated, you could use to make that link. But if you just copy and paste, you miss that specific connection, and subsequently the unique voice in your study, your voice as the researcher, becomes silent, and it becomes somebody else dictating, a device or an artificial intelligence tool dictating what the knowledge should be saying in your study. So be very careful for copy and pasting, because it can silence your unique voice and your arguments that you are making in your study. Because your study is in Limpopo, this tool doesn't have a thorough understanding of Limpopo and that particular, if it's in Zebediel or Leboa Homu, and don't understand those particular contexts in Leboa Homu. And how do you now apply that argument that was generated from these tools? You can take the idea and build a more closer argument. You bring your voice into it, the augmented human intelligence. That's why don't copy and paste, otherwise you will lose that. That's why keep the human in the loop approach. It is important that you understand that there are biases that could emanate from this generated text, how they position certain arguments. I yesterday shared with your supervisors that I did a study on Ulualuko, the traditional circumcision in the Eastern Cape, and it had made very derogatory comments and very offensive and very biased comments about the practice of Ulualuko. However, the data that I had from the field showed very positive experiences and positive outcomes about the study. And so you've got to be very careful when you ask or request certain information from these tools, whether it is in line with what your message is, so that there are no biases in your study. As I said, mine was positive, and I expected a positive analysis and discussion around it. But with these AI tools, I got something negative, and I could not go with it. It is important now Your supervisors do get training, and we will give continuous training. So the engagement with artificial intelligence should be discussed with your supervisors, so that there's an open and honest discussion. If you keep it away from your supervisor that you are using intelligence, then you'll feel guilty. I've used that part, then I've used it. No. Be honest, be open with them. I've used it here, I've used it there. This is what I came up with. What do you think about this? So that there's a supervision process, so that there's a developmental process. Supervision is about guidance, it's about developing concepts, ideas, and your research. Now, if you keep it away from your researcher, if you pretend that this is your knowledge, then the supervisor has got nothing to guide you on, right? But if you are open and honest with your supervisor that I have developed these ideas by using artificial intelligence tools, you can then debate and engage with your supervisor. Remember, your supervisor has got expertise in that particular area. That's why they are supervising you. So it's important that you have open and honest, disclosed discussions on the usage of these tools. Also speak to your friends who are doing more or less similar studies, because they read something else, they use other tools, so that you can bounce off these ideas from each other and develop your thinking, develop and stimulate your own ideas. Don't use this in silence and pretend this is a generation of your own knowledge. It is important that you take a break when you have developed some of these ideas or generated some of these ideas. Take a break from the tool and now wrestle with these generated ideas with your own human ideas. Otherwise, you become too dependent. So close the tool and work with what you have received. It's similarly to the many articles that you download from various platforms. At one stage, you have to stop reading and you have to start writing and engaging with the debates that you found within these particular articles. Similarly, you will have to do that with these tools as well. So always bring in your own perspective, your unique perspective, your contextual perspective. Very important. These AI tools, you can use it for data analysis. But in this data, when you generated your data, when you collected your data with whichever agencies, participants, you have committed to some ethical conduct around this data collection management. You have said to your participants, the only person who will have access to this data would be myself and the supervisor, or your personal information will not be shared with other agencies and other people. So it's important that no personal information gets uploaded on these tools, because you upload it into a dark hole and you don't know. This is an emerging tool. We still learn on where this information is landing and how it is utilized, where it lands. So it is important that you are cautious not to upload personal information from your data, from your participants, or whoever else that you engage with in your research. I spoke about the biases. Yeah. So, as I already said from the beginning, the University of South Africa, Unisa, is very clear that it supports the notion that students should engage with technology to stimulate their learning. However, it does not condone or encourage any form of plagiarism or unethical conduct when it comes to the development of the scientific work that their learning experiences. So it is important that you disclose how you have used it, where you have used it. There are ways in which certain colleges would want you to cite it and so on. As I said, the draft policy is in its developmental stages, the final stages, and it will soon be released. In the meantime, I will show you how you can record your usage so that it is ethical and you disclose your usage thereof, because part of the role of a researcher is to be ethical, to be honest on how you engage with knowledge development. Another thing that I want you to be attentive to is be cautious about, well, I already touched on that, the sensitive information. Then be aware of the biases. So you just have to rework and reread this work and engage with it and disclose the usage of the tool. Then with my students, I have developed this little template that students can use to record the usage of AI or the integration of AI, and I ask them with every submission to then submit this declaration. So AI systems use, which ones have you used? Because there are many types. There are those that you use to identify literature sources. There are those that you use for language editing. There are those that you use to generate ideas. There are those that you use for referencing, to check that all references are in place and so on. So you can disclose that and name the tool that you have used. What was it used for? It was used for language editing. It was used to give me a framework. It was used to rework my statement of the problem. Where in the work was it used? It was used in the methodology section to do an application of the philosophical assumptions of my study. So be detailed. To what extent did you use it and why did you consider the work as your own? I reworked it. I generated ideas and I reworked it and integrated it into my own thinking, right? And these are short explanations on where you can indicate and how you can indicate the usage of artificial intelligence tools. Now, one of the biggest challenges is that many of our students are aware of these artificial intelligence tools. Most of you came across ChatGPT because these tools are free. Most of these tools are free, and you download and you register with these tools. But many of you don't know how to use these tools. You just ask questions. It's like walking into a mall and you ask any person, I'm looking for the best raisin bread. And if you ask anybody, you're going to get any results. So it is important that you are familiar on the usage of prompts. When you engage with these tools, you are using prompts. Prompts are directives on the knowledge that you request from these tools. And so they are prompt designs. So you can't just post a question. You have to develop a particular style so that you get specific information. If you're going to go to ask about traditional medicine, if you're going to go to a pharmacist, they'll give you Western ideas of traditional medicine. If you're going to go to a traditional healer, the traditional healer will give you a different version of that information. If you go to your grandmother will give you another form of traditional medicine for a specific ailment or condition. So it is important that you assign a role. Do you want this information to come from your grandmother? Do you want it to come from a traditional healer? Do you want it to come from a pharmacist? Right. So there are experts who hold specific knowledge of a particular area. So you must assign a role from who you are requesting this knowledge. In this case, you could assign it that the role is a master's student. You are a master's student. You are a language editor. You are a language interpreter, right? You are a critical analyst. You are a policy developer, right? So assign that role so that the information that is generated comes from an expert position. Secondly, you have to assign a very clear, specific, detailed request or assignment or action, right? So you need to ask your tool, develop a critical scholarly framework on how axiology is applied in the African context within the research area of traditional, what do we call this now? For example, Ulwaluko, right? And it will then align the data that it generates to that action. Now, we know that knowledge is pitched at different levels. Knowledge is pitched at different levels. Sometimes you have heard or you've been in sessions when a professor comes into this class, especially in your undergraduate lectures, and this man starts talking or woman starts talking, and you just cannot connect to what they say because the knowledge that they talk about is just way above your level. Or sometimes people start presenting some information and you're like, oh my God, why am I sitting in this session? I know all of this because it is not at the level that you are. You already have superior knowledge on the topic that is presented. And so it's very important that you also identify your audience. So your audience would be a scholarly audience, particularly aiming at PhD students or PhD graduates. If you are a professor and you do another talk or a keynote address, you might speak to experts in the field, and therefore you must say that the knowledge generated will be presented to experts in the field of nanoscience. These will be professors and researchers, established researchers in the field. Or you could say that this knowledge is generated for first year sociology students. So it's important that you pitch your or identify your audience so that the knowledge is then pitched at the level of your audience, because often the knowledge is then disconnected for the audience that needs to consume this particular information. And I will touch a little bit on that when we do the practical. I use a couple of tools that I find very useful. These are just some of them. I use ChatGPT, I use ChatPDF, I use Poe AI, I use Claude AI, SciSpace, because I have figured that these ones are the ones that are most that I understand how to use, but I get introduced to more tools on a daily basis, and it requires practice, engagements with these tools, and based on your needs, you will then focus on a particular tool. I do want to say to you that all these tools are free on the market. They do give you a limited level of engagement, but if you want these tools to do a little bit more for you and they will explain what they can do more, you will have to do a subscription. At the moment, Unisa only subscribe to certain tools. It does not subscribe to the chatbots that we now see here. They have the Mendeley, they have the what is Grammarly's and all these others that you find, some of them are built into your Microsoft platforms, and you just have to add on these tools. I now see that Microsoft Word also has ChatGPT for Microsoft Word, and that was quite interesting. And so there are various other tools that you can use that the university subscribe to, but there are these new emerging chatbots that require a particular subscription fee if you expect a little bit more delivery from the tool. But I always recommend that you do not subscribe to any tool if you are not comfortable with it and if you don't know what the extras are that they can offer you. So this is my first part of my presentation, Dr. T. So this tool, Dr. T, confirm if you can see this.
Yes, we can see.
All right. This tool is called Size Space. This is a tool that helps you to generate.
We have one research question from Matlakala. Yeah.
Okay, just hold that question there and you will read it to me now. So this tool then helps you to find literature that is directly linked to your study. You know how difficult it is to find literature sources that's connected to your study. This tool will bring it to your study. And the interesting thing about this tool is it enables you to generate the most recent publications as recent as 2024, right? So you go into Google Scholar, not Google Scholar, sorry, into Google, and you just type Size Space, and you can just click on that first icon. It will bring you to this page. And what you do is you have a question that you are asking here. Dr. T, read that question to me.
Yes, I see a lot of them coming up, but then the first one is from Matlakala. It reads, how does financial education affect individuals' awareness of behavioral biases in making financial decisions?
Yes, that is the question. Quite a loaded question. What this tool does, it also helps you to reformulate that question so that it is not so convoluted. So you see there, what are the key components of financial education that influence individual awareness of behavior biases in financial decision making? That's a more concise way of asking that question. How do different financial education programs impact individual recognition and mitigation of behavior biases in investment? Okay. Can financial education reduce the prevalence of behavior biases? So here you can see the different questions in a much more concise, in a much more articulate, much more scholarly way. You don't have to take these suggestions or engage with these suggestions. You can just work with yours. I've typed in Matlakala's question, and let's see what kind of literature do we find. Right? It will give you a number of publications. Now, what's the name of the student, Tony?
It's Matlakala Kabinde.
Kabinde. Kabinde. There's a publication that was published in 2024 May, just a couple of months ago. June, July, August, September, 4 months ago. Impact of behavioral biases on investment decisions and moderation of financial literacy and evidence of Pakistan. Pakistan is a third world country, and you can draw on the knowledge of this third world context to our context. But what is interesting is that this is a publication that has been published this year. Interestingly, it gives you a summary of this article. Financial literacy significantly moderates behavior biases, enhancing individual awareness and improving investment decisions making by mitigating the effects of biases like overconfidence and herding in emerging markets. It also tells you the methods that was used. Structured questionnaires, hierarchical regression analysis. Have you thought of this methodology? Because often we engage with these literature sources just on the information, on the knowledge part, but we don't look at how the knowledge was generated. So before you go in search for this article, it tells you the methods also that were used in order to generate this particular set of knowledge. It gives you the results. Anchoring and adjustment of overconfidence and herding biases show significant impact. Financial literacy moderates behavioral biases related to investment decision. It also gives you a summary. The study on behavioral biases in investment decisions in Pakistan Stock Exchange, financial literacy moderates biases impacting investment decisions in emerging markets. Right. And so you can then add a number of add-ons. You can add on conclusions. You can add on what the objectives were in the study. You can add on the literature survey, and it will give you different segments of this article. And what I normally do is I highlight the title and I go to Google Scholar and I go download the article there. And that is how you can generate the most recent articles. There's another article, Understanding the Nexus of Financial Literacy and Behavioral Biases in Investment Decisions. There's another one, Behavioral Biases in Investment Decision. And as you can see, based on your questions, you have very specific articles that respond. But just looking at this, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, number 10. 10 articles are all within the framework of 2022 and 2024. Your lecturer or your supervisor would be so impressed that you have the most recent articles that respond to your research focus. And this is one of the weaknesses that many students have to find literature that is more recent and that is specific to your research question. Yeah, this tool enables you to identify and locate these tools, giving you the most relevant literature. Dr. T, can we do one more?
Yes, Prof. The second one is from Lufuno. What are the border security risks and threats at Beitbridge and Limpopo borders? B-E-I-T, yeah, Beitbridge, our own
Beitbridge in Beitbridge border.
Yeah.
In Limpopo, South Africa. So you will see there is a very dated article from 2005 that gives you a historical understanding of the issues at the Bait Bridge. And here you can already make an argument that the challenges at the Bait Bridge border post is nothing new. It's older than, it's almost 2 decades old. As Irish has found illicit trafficking of vehicles already in 2005. But you have a 2020 article, Poor Coordination Among Government Departments and Border Control Agencies, its impact on South African porous borders. There's something by Malachi, and seems like Malachi has done various border studies. So illegal border crosses from Mozambique, Swaziland, and Zimbabwe, a reflection on South Africa's porous borders, okay? And there's a study by Chabalala, 2019. There's a study by Moyo and others on Bait Bridge, border practices at Bait Bridge border and Johannesburg inner city. There's a very interesting study there. There's an interesting dissertation from Hilary Nare that was conducted in 2023 on the territorial border controls between the border trading and economic security in Zimbabwe, the case of the Bait Bridge border post. And there's another one, infrastructure upgrading the antidote for smuggling, evidence from the Bait Bridge border post in Zimbabwe. And then there's one from 2011. So what is interesting is a period from a dated area to almost a not too dated, and then the most recent. And so you can develop a good argument from what it was like 2 decades ago, a decade ago, and present day, right? And so if you look at this tool enables you to develop the literature that supports you with that kind of argument or discussion development. So this is SciSpace. I really appreciate this tool because it helps me to find the most relevant, specific, and recent literature sources. Right. Now, another tool that I also use is Chat PDF. Now, Chat PDF is not Chat GPT. It's also a chat bot like Chat GPT, but Chat PDF is a tool that enables you to read through literature in a much faster way. Now, often we find ourselves in a situation that you need to read extensive literature. When my students need to write a proposal for me, I say to them, you can't read your proposal if you have not read at least 30 articles on this particular focus of your research. And as I mentioned before, that you are full-time employed, most of you are parents, you are community people, and you are students, and you have to navigate through all of these roles and responsibilities. And you almost don't have the luxury to sit or for days on end to read through articles. And sometimes you don't want to know the entire article. You are looking for specific information. This is Chat PDF. Again, you can just Google search it. It's Chat PDF, and the page will come up. It will look slightly different because I did a demonstration, but it will say drop PDF here when you open it. When you say drop PDF here, when you click on it, you can then click on an article that you want to engage with. Let's say we take this article. So what the tool does is it uploads the entire article. And what you now can do is to ask the tool specific questions about this article. You don't have to read through the entire article. So the first thing that most of you are interested in, and this is what the tool also suggests, the tool will give you a few suggestions. You can ask your own questions and you can type them in here at the bottom, but there's a suggestion on what are the main arguments presented in this article. So you click on it and it highlights the main article, the main arguments. So the main argument in this article is disrespect for autonomy. It tells you what the argument is. It is not copied from the article. It summarizes it. The next one is that it also summarizes the second main argument and the third main argument. But what is interesting about this is that you don't have to just absorb this knowledge that was presented by the chatbot. You could actually go to the article. It says that this argument can be located on page 15. You see the highlighted part in blue. This is where they talk about disrespect for autonomy. That's the first main argument. The second main argument can also be located on page 2, right? So this is the summary of the argument, but if you want to go and read and get your own understanding and interpretation of this main argument, you could actually go to the specific page number. It highlights it for you and you can read those sections. You don't have to read through the entire 25 pages of the article. You could, for example, ask, what were the methodological considerations? So it will then go into the method section. The philosophical framework, it will give it to you. It will give you the conceptual analysis. It will give you identification of autonomy of harms, and it will give you aspects of recommendation, regulation, interdisciplinary approach. And then again, if you want to read about this, you actually click on the page number and it takes you there on the methodological aspects. You could ask what were the ethical considerations? It will talk to the ethical consideration aspects. You could ask what are the main conclusions in this article? And so it gives you the main conclusions as well. Again, if you want to read yourself what the article is saying, you literally just click on that page and it takes you to that specific point. And so this one enables you to work through your literature sources in a much quicker and in a much faster way. You would find that some of the sources that you read would be 60 pages, would be 100 pages. You can literally upload the document and engage with the document, ask certain questions. This is Chat PDF. Then the next tool that I want to propose to you, it is the last one. Now, yesterday, I actually worked through an example of a proposal from one of the students that I worked with, and I asked the student if I could use this proposal as an example. So I'm going to upload the proposal here. Just before I upload it, I just want to open it first. Okay. I'm just going to upload it. Right. Dr. T, you can see the proposal?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. Right. Now, remember, I spoke about the statement of the problem. When I read through this proposal, I had huge problems. It read like a literature review, and I just could not locate. And I'm scrolling very slowly so that you could see I could just not locate a statement of the problem. And I kept on asking the candidate, what is the problem? And he waffled through some ideas. And I said, okay, let's go to the tool. Let's stop sharing. So, what you can do is to use another tool. It is called POE AI, POE AI, and you can search it through Google. I'm just gonna open it up here. This is POE. I've worked on POE. I've used it yesterday as well. Now, your supervisor is saying, Aige, no. There's no research problem or statement of the problem here, right? When you go on it for the first time, the page will look like this. It has a number of add-ons. It has ChatGPT, it has web search, it has Claude, it has Assistant. So that's why I like POE a lot. So POE then allows you to upload documents. So you can upload here where the plus is, you can upload. Some of these chatbots will show it to you as a paperclip. This one show it as a plus. You click on the plus and you upload the document. So we've uploaded it. Now remember, first of all, assign the role. You are a PhD candidate doing a study on migration patterns from Ethiopia to South Africa. You are a PhD candidate at the University of South Africa. Because if you say you are a PhD candidate, you could be a PhD candidate anywhere in the world. But the moment you say South Africa, it gives a particular context and it also gives an audience. Okay. So university, let's just correct that. In South Africa, your supervisor indicated that the attached proposal does not have a clear, succinct spelling now. Succinct statement of the problem. Reflecting on the attached proposal in a scholarly, robust, and critical manner, propose three clear research statements of the problem. It should also be supported through in-text citation from the sources in the current research, in the current statement of the problem, to not change the focus. This should be at the level of a PhD candidate in sociology studies. Remember the audience, right? So we have uploaded it. We have given it a role. We've given it a role. We've given it an instruction, and we have given it an audience. So this is what we call a prompt. And then we search. So now you're not asking for it to write the proposal for you. They're not asking to write the statement of the problem. You use your own work to refine, reformulate, to reconstruct and improve your work. There it is. You have asked for a concise statement of the problem. Remember that one was a page and a half. Here we have one paragraph. The rise of social media and private broadcasting platforms in Ethiopia has significantly amplified the dissemination of hate speech, which poses substantial threats to social cohesion and political stability. That's the problem. As noted by Dadada, hate speech is not merely a form of expression, it serves as a catalyst for ethics divisions and conflict, particularly in the context marked by existing social tensions. This phenomena necessitates a critical, there's an objective, examination on the language used in media to understand its implications for societal well-being, and political discourse. The problem, literature that supports it, and what you want to achieve with the study in a very succinct way. There we had a page and a half, and there was no research problem. And so there are 3 versions that you have asked, and you can play around going back to your own research problem now, and then you could say and you can integrate that and refine your research problem. Don't copy and paste. You use these ideas to refine your own problem. This is in SciSpace. In POE. Many of you in POE also have difficulties to start that literature review discussion. You have all these articles now. You have downloaded 30 articles. You took the whole weekend to find these articles through Google Scholar and SciSpace and whatever else. You don't know where to start. What you could do is to upload all your 30 articles. I don't know how many I have here. You could upload them all on the platform. Then you say, you are a PhD student in hate speech and social media, in sociology in South Africa. You need to write a literature section for a proposal. Provide a clear framework. You don't want it to write it for you. You just want a framework to guide a literature discussion on the matter and clearly indicate the gap in the literature for further research. Right. So that's your instruction. This is for a PhD audience in sociology. Right. Role, instruction, audience. You've uploaded all your literature sources. You can go let's go back to the instruction. Oh, okay. You don't have to go do that. But when you have to ask for a writing, you can even go as far as asking the length of words. Here you are just asking for a framework. So because you have uploaded almost 15 articles. What it does now is to read through these articles, but it is reading through it in a light speed, in a light space, speed rather. And so in the next few seconds, it will produce that kind of framework. So there is the framework. It tells you suggestions, ideas of what should come into your introduction, what you can have in the conceptualization of hate speech, because this is a concept and you have to conceptualize it. Then you have another variable, which is the role of social media. And there's another one, responses to hate speech, gaps in the literature. It shows you very clearly what the gaps are, and it shows you what you could then focus on the conclusion section. So you can do this to help you to develop your literature review. You could also ask, propose novel methodological framework for the study, because some of you don't even know where to study, how to develop your methodology for your research project. So there it gives you some ideas on, it's still busy. The research design is a mixed method approach, the quantitative component, the qualitative component, the data analysis, triangulation, ethical considerations, and so on. So there's some ideas that gives you a departure. This is how these tools can help you to augment your own human thinking, your own knowledge development, your understanding of the research that you are focusing on. So these are some of the tools that I use and I recommend to the students. Dr. T, these are today's sections that I want to present to the students. I now give over to you if there are any comments, any questions, but I want to highlight that what I have presented here are tools to help you to enhance your research development, your research productivity, your thesis development. These are not tools to copy and paste. These are tools to support you. Most of them are free. So having said this, over to you.
Thank you, Prof, for demonstrating that. We have a question from K Makwani, and they're asking, the question is on the free version and the paid versions. So is there different set of results, while using a paid version compared to the free version?
For example, if you use Claude AI, then it allows you in an hour's time to submit about 10 prompts. And then you cannot submit more than 10 prompts. You will have to wait for another 2 hours before you can engage with the tool again. The tool will probably tell you you can again engage with the tool after 3 hours, right? I appreciate that when it stops you from further engaging with the tool, this is where you then engage humanly with the tool, with your information. But the moment you have the paid version, it is unlimited and you can just engage with the tool as long as you go. And this is where the dependency coming in. And for a student, I normally suggest that you engage with it from the unpaid version or the free version. But it is normally some of them would allow you to have unlimited prompts. Other tools will allow you to upload more articles. Other tools will do more rigorous analysis for you. So it depends. It is very important to look at what the paid version offers, and various tools offer different services, and you need to understand what are the benefits when you go for the paid version. Dr. T?
Thanks a lot for that, Prof. I'm looking at the second one from Anonymous. They really like the tools. Their concern is on safety. They want to know if it's safe to upload their documents. Is their work not going to be stolen before even published? So it's around safety, and I'd like you to touch on that.
Fortunately, I have used these tools now for the past 2 years, and no, it does not give that kind of risk, because you register with the tool and it's on your registration that this information is uploaded. I just want to show you. Let me just see if I can do Claude. Just bear with me and I will give you a quick demonstration on Claude, Claude AI. So I do want to suggest that when you do register, that you have a Gmail account. So you register with your Gmail account and then follow the instructions. You can see here, good morning, Tony. Tony is the name that I gave myself. My name is Anthony, so I use Tony and I registered. Now, what is interesting is every time when I go to Claude, all my engagements with the tool will remain on my name. It doesn't go into an anonymous cloud. It goes on your registration. So nobody else has got access to your registration. Everything that you do, all the documents that you upload will come on your registration. And that is the safety of it. I, however, suggest that no personal information gets uploaded, because we are not sure what happens with personal information. Dr. T?
Yes, Prof. I think that is the last question on the chat here.
Yep. So what is important to the students that I would like to emphasize is these tools are very tempting, very, very tempting. They might generate large discussion sections for you that you just feel like you just want to copy and paste it into your proposals or into your thesis. Once you do that and your document goes through Turnitin, it will pick up that pasted work from these tools. They will pick it up as chatbot generated tools or AI generated knowledge, and they will give you a percentage thereof. And so it's important that you rework everything. You augment it with your human intelligence. You paraphrase, you integrate, you contextualize this information. So please, my deepest plea to you today is not to generate this knowledge and copy and paste it into your work, but it should help you to stimulate your own ideas, your own thoughts and developments around your research in a much faster, creative, and developmental way. Dr. T?
Thank you, Prof. We have another one. Thanking you for this excellent presentation. Theirs is to know in which part of the proposal or thesis where they can mention that they used AI, and also some guidelines on how they can reference.
Okay, so what is important at this stage as I said, that the university is still developing the guidelines on referencing and declaration. So there's nothing concrete on how to do it. I will share this proposal with you, with Dr. T, and Dr. T will then share it with everyone who has participated in this workshop. And you can use that page, the declaration page. And after your references, you can just indicate in your declaration page which tools have you used, and then how have you used it. But before you do all of these, discuss it with your supervisor. Your supervisor holds a particular knowledge. While some supervisors may have no knowledge, some supervisors may be very negative about this, some will be very positive about this, so you will get varying responses. And for some of you who have co-supervisors, you might have the one supervisor supports it and the other supervisor does not support it, so you might get very mixed responses on the usage of AI. But the core point I'm driving home is that you discuss it with your supervisors and ask them how do they want you, in the absence of the final version of our guidelines, how do they want you to disclose this? You can tell them that you have attended the workshop at the College of Graduate Studies, and this is the template that they proposed there. If they don't have anything as supervisors, ask them if you could use the template proposed in this workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Nomande Nunu, one of the many who are thanking you for this informative presentation. They have really gained a lot of knowledge. That is the direct message from one of the candidates, Prof.
Thank you so much.
Prof, okay, let me just check. We have Degu. Similarly, are there a project planning task management tools that Unisa have subscribed to? Okay, so they just want to know if we have already subscribed to other AI tools for project planning, task management, and so on.
Most of these tools, and thank you for that question, Dr. T, ChatGPT should be able to give you that. Claude, Poe, all of these tools have multiple abilities. Remember, you need to assign a role to your tool. If you say to the tool, you are an expert in project management, develop, then a project management tool or project management guidelines will be developed. So it is not the AI tool, it is the role that the AI tool is assigned to that will assume the type of knowledge or information to be generated. So that is the key part here. If you remember the prompt, the role, the instruction, and then the audience. These tools can become anything that you want it to become. You need to assign it. So we don't have, although we have some specific AI tools, but most of these tools are so broadly developed, it depends on the tool, on the role that you assign it to be. Thank you, Dr. T.
Thanks a lot.